pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this opportunity to just gather in your name, Lord. We thank you for the word that you're going to bring to us tonight, God. And we just thank you for the growth that we might experience. We thank you in advance for the work that you'll do through this church and in the community, God. And we just pray that you'll guide us in every way possible. We pray this in your awesome name.
Thanks, Stu. God really missed me, right? Eh? Yes, I'm wearing my camo pants again and my Tuesday pants. And my Sunday morning pants. It's amazing how the washing cycle's going, right? So, guys, we are in our third service, and today we're going to be talking about senses, alright? And purposefully, and Ruth and I chatted about this, we decided that we were not going to give you your scriptures, because otherwise, and Ruth and I spoke about this, we take pictures of the scriptures up there and never ever go back to them. So at JLIF, we want to get into the habit of encouraging you to take down scriptures, go home, read them yourself, and you will see that the sermon I preach and the sermon you get will be different. It encourages growth, it encourages research, and encourages JLIF not to just be a Tuesday, I don't need to do my homework, housework, garden work time. Now, I want to ask you the question, and I'm going to ask everybody here, so get your answer prepared. Out of the 5 senses, can anybody first tell me what they are?
Smell, hearing, sight, taste,
Touch! Alright, so we've got smell, we've got sight, we've got hearing, we've got touch, and we've got taste. So my question I want to ask you is, what do you think is the most important? Pretty.
hearing.
Hearing.
Touch.
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 See.
Touch.
See. All of them, we get to choose one if we live with that. Then it's better I work that. Hearing. Sight. Sight. Touch. Nobody said smell. Have you ever been to a boys' room or a camp? 2 years ago on camp, I went in there and I said, I don't even care if you guys are doing drugs in here. I'm not coming back in here because it actually ruined my day. Have you ever smelled something so vile, like if there's a dead mouse in your house?
Yeah.
And you're so not into it that you eventually just be like, when will it go away? Instead of going there to deal with it, because it permeates, it stays on you, and it's absolutely shocking. And it's so weird that when we look at our senses, and we only get taught those in school, right? Where do you get taught those? In grade 1, grade R. Can't remember. Because it's something you've always known, right? So let's talk about a few other senses, and leaders here will know that they've grown over the weeks we've been talking about it, as there are very, very important 3 other senses, and we're going to start with those today. The first one is common sense. The other one is sixth sense. Not the movie. Let's give you an example. When you've got something in your gut that's telling you something here's not right. Or you've got something in your gut, not when you love, you always make the wrong choice. That's not a sixth sense. That's the ninth one, the stupid one. The stupid sense. When you think, oh, I'm in love. Because obviously your brain and heart, they just don't cooperate for some apparent reason. And then you've got the one of nonsense. This is what I'm mostly about, I suppose. Now I want to ask you, when you read the Bible, do you look at those 3? What's nonsense? We've had somebody who preached a series and could almost prove it once on that the wise men probably were a story and weren't real. You guys remember that 2 years ago? It was in December. I was like, oh! Noah's Ark. Have you ever thought, did that really happen? Have you ever thought to use your senses? Why? Because we weren't there. We couldn't use our 5 senses to tell us that it was real. Common sense. Love your mother and your father. If you would like pocket money and cool things. Hey? It gets difficult. Now we look at this and you're like, I want to relate this to scripture because it's different. And today I'm going to teach you that Jesus used his 5 senses all the time. To the point of the one that a lot of people said tonight, which was word to mouth, doesn't even come into context. Now, who here like touch? Touch. Now, I don't like hugs. If I date a girl, we hold hands for the first week and then I give her the holding hand talk. If we sit on the couch and it asks me like we're watching a movie, I'll be like, yeah, that's enough. Go away. Because touch for me isn't a great thing. But touch for somebody else is a huge thing. Have you ever been hugged by someone where that hug means so much more to you than their words? Like when Ronald Weasley's mom hugged Harry Potter and she tried to put unsaid things into that hug, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to look at a few of these things. I want you to look at how Jesus dealt with the 5 senses. Now, Jesus was awesome. You know, and everything he did had purpose. Everything Jesus Christ did had purpose. Now, as me being an old buddy and getting older and older, the more I read about him, the more I want to read about him. Now, this is my first thing today, you guys can put it on your Instagram, is the closer you get to God, the more you realize that you need to get closer to God. That's pretty cool, eh? And should have code. Now, if you look at it, Jesus felt a sense. He was a person. He taught us love with all the 5 senses. From the beginning, Jesus was sensitive to the needs of each man, woman, and child. The Bible gives us an account of this in creation in Genesis chapter 1. And it tells us that God created day after day. Early he saw that it was good. But on the 6th day, he looked over all he had made and said, it was very good. That's in Genesis 1 verse 31. Over and over again, God said it was good. It wasn't until sometime later that God looked at Adam, the first man, sensing his loneliness, and he said, it is not good for man to be alone. Now, it shows us that God was not only sensitive to what he created, he was sensitive to what man needed. And he saw that it was not good. Today I want to talk to you about loving all 5 senses. Just not how you relate to God, but how you relate to others. Because loneliness is not just something that Adam experienced at the beginning of time. The reality that it is today, with a lot of people, everybody feels still very, very alone. Why? Now I want to take you all back to your first day of high school. Who felt alone? I got put into a class of absolute thugs. So at school, if you were in grade 9A, you were in the clever class. When I got to grade 8A, they took the problem children and put them in grade 8A. So everybody thought we were the boss, but apparently we were just absolute thugs. I got to my first assembly and the loneliness was absolute. I can remember me sitting there in my blazer that was too big because my mom said I had to grow into it and shaking in this big blazer that you couldn't even see I was shaking. That's how big my blazer was. It was like a tent. And I felt so lonely. Standing between a guy who was this big, who became to be South Africa's one of our best boxers, and this other guy who was an absolute monster rugby player that went to the first team in grade 9. And I had to stand between them. And we were learning the school song, and these oaks were burping and farting and changing the words. And I didn't do a thing wrong, we all got called out. And my mom got called on the first day of grade 8. And I remember feeling I was the loneliest person. Now, I didn't know Jesus back then. And I still remember thinking, God, why me? It's human nature to not want to go back to situations that you are uncomfortable in. And then by the time I got used to school and I used to love my friends and that, I loved it so much that I didn't want to leave. I loved it so much that I decided to spend 2 extra years in school. Now, here's what I've noticed when Jesus began ministering. For those 3.5 years before his crucifixion, he always paid close attention to the real felt needs of those he met. So today we look at the ministry of Jesus and the 5 senses. And we're going to start with taste. Did anybody mention taste? Taste and smell. Now I want to ask you here, has anybody ever tasted disappointment? Daily basis. Daily basis. Have you ever been let down, betrayed by someone you loved? Have you ever felt that what this person is doing to me is actually painful? And it's not the type of pain you can go to say to your mom, I've got a lot of pain. Hey? Mama, take a banana, shut up. Take it just for it. You know? So when we talk about taste, you've got to understand that the Bible tells us, taste and see that the Lord is good. In Psalm 34, verse 8. And yet the problem is we always seem to have a taste for the things that are just out of our reach. A new car. A better boyfriend or girlfriend. Husband, wife, let's go for it. You know, we go for the taste of things that we can't attain. Why? Now, it's quite awkward because the first time we get taste in the Bible is when Eve ate the fruit in chapter 3. She looked at it and she saw it was good and pleasing to the eye. So disregarding what God said, she and her husband took some and tasted it. The Bible tells us in Genesis 25 that a man named Isaac, the promised son of Abraham, had a taste for wild game. To all the vegans out there, Genesis 25, verse 28. Just like Adam and Eve, Isaac's taste and appetite for wild game resulted in him being deceived. Jesus comes back in the New Testament and says, "This bread is my flesh, which I give for the light of the world." That's in John 6, verse 51. He promised those that hunger and thirst for righteousness would be filled, and whoever drinks the water that he gave them would never ever again be hungry or thirsty. In spite of the things of the taste of this world, it should be God and Christ who we satisfy them. Now we're going to go to the second one, which is smell. My mom is an avid bird watcher, and when she retired, she wanted to move to a farm down in Pumalanga, purely for the flowers that grow there and the smell. So I said, Mom, obviously we were on the same farm, but I just smelled cow poo. And you must have been smelling something totally different because you didn't have to work in the fields, picking brinjals and lychees and then going later to work with cattle. I'm like, you don't have to do that. But there's an amazing garden there. I think it's, the front garden is 6 acres of just beautiful plants and little waterfalls and a little memorial garden of all our ancestors and stuff like that. And it's filled because some people there have nothing to do apparently but garden. Now, the fragrance we have is very similar of a pleasing fragrance is to God. In Ephesians 5 verse 2, as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. For those who believe this fragrance of Christ is attractive, it's appealing, but to those who don't believe, the fragrance of Christ is not attractive. Ever been near a group of guys who just come off a sports field? Or girls? The fragrance is not attractive. Do you want to stand next to somebody smelly? Would you like to stand next to someone who's wearing awesome cologne? Dating tip for my youth group. We're not allowed dating in the youth. But if you can't do it with words, your next bet is cologne. You can write that down. Also, that's a fact. Write that down. So I don't know how it is. The same thing happens with Jesus. If you're into him, the fragrance you want is more of him. If you're not into him, you're like, stay away from me. I don't need that. Now, if you look at Martha, she served Lazarus, and he was one of the people who was reclining at the table. So you always think about Lazarus, pretty cool, whatever. He was leaning against the table like a homeboy when she comes in there and starts, comes in with a very, very expensive oil. So Judas, not Joel, Judas, asked, why was this perfume sold and the money not given to the poor? And yet this gift was an expression of Mary's love and gratitude as she was prophetically anointing Jesus. You need to understand that the fragrance that you permeate towards people will tell them whether you love Jesus or not. And after I read that quote, I just looked at myself and thought, how do people see me and Jesus? And do they want to be near me or away from me? That's when we need the whip sound. Touch! Woo! Well, I don't like. Time and time again in the Bible, we find people begging Jesus to touch their little children and babies. The blind and the sick are fumbling and pushing forward in the hope to touch Jesus. However, in our culture today, the context of a loving touch has been distorted by our spiritual enemy. To the point, teens, you guys will notice that I probably only give you a hug when there's someone there. And if Brittany's not there, if no one else is there, she doesn't get a hug. Why? I never want someone else to say that I inappropriately touched my home dog. That's why at Hillside and at J-Life, I will never, ever in a million years pray for a lady without another lady present. Because Satan has distorted touch to the point that it's now become perverse instead of, let me show you that hug that can tell you the words I can't. Now, I don't know if I'd be willing to touch a leper, but Jesus was. And in Matthew chapter 8, a man with leprosy came and knelt before Jesus saying, Lord, if you're willing, you can make me clean. Pretty interesting there. In any scripture you say, it doesn't say please or anything like that. It says, like, you can make me. It's almost saying, bro, just do it. And save us all time. Now, I don't know if you guys understand that, because leprosy was extremely contagious, and a leper only had the life expectancy of 10 years. So watch what Jesus does in verse 3. Jesus reaches out and did what? He touches the man and says, I am willing, be clean. Immediately he was cured of leprosy. Matthew 8 verse 3. Now, this is not really a good time to be touching people with leprosy, because in the Jewish culture, that then made you unclean. Meaning you weren't allowed to worship your God because you were unclean. Now I want to take a break quickly from this and ask you, what are you touching in the world today that's separating you from God and making you unclean? Because if this was Jew, if you were a Jew, you wouldn't be able to worship. Why did Jesus reach out and touch this man? I believe Jesus was doing something deeper, something greater than just healing this man with leprosy. That man didn't need to be healed from just leprosy, he needed to be healed from life. A life of rejection, a life of loneliness. The thing that was causing him the greatest pain wasn't all the external symptoms, but that hurt from inside, from being rejected. It was in that loving touch that Jesus healed him, and that touch changes us because we were wired by God for intimacy. So if we're going to love like Jesus, we want to express it with an appropriate touch. Maybe a hug, maybe a handshake. We need to love with a sense of touch. We go on to hearing. Now, most often we find Jesus teaching, right? A lot of the Bible is what Jesus said. He was also a great listener, which is one of my very, very shortcomings. In fact, just after his resurrection, later the same day, the Bible tells us that there were two disciples walking down the road. These two men's hopes had been shattered. Now, get this into context. These oaks lived with Jesus. Alright? Now, you need to get this into context that not every disciple lived with Jesus for 3 years. Some left and came back. Some left and never came back.
These guys adored him, loved him, and watched him get crucified. None got crucified with him. So none loved him to the point enough to be crucified with him. I've mentioned to this before. If you go and look at the other disciples that we know, they all died except one, horrible deaths. Boiled alive, crucified upside down. What changed them to the point of being absolutely broken to living a life that they were willing to die for him? Now, Jesus appears to them, and it's kind of awkward because they were kept from recognizing him. So Jesus says, "What are you discussing together as you walk along?" They stood still and they faced downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem and do not know the things that have happened here in these days?" That's Luke 24, verse 17 to 18. So, guys, Jesus was so popular that a whole city was expected to know about him. If you ever look, now I want you to think about the most popular person you know and think about how many people know about them. Whole city? Now that's without Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube. This is just word of mouth. Everybody knew about him. So Jesus was popular. In verse 19, instead of revealing himself with a touch of humor, Jesus asked, "What things?" "About Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and all the people." The chief priests and rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. Guys, these people saw Jesus as a real life king. The best example I can give to you that is they thought of him as a king like King Arthur. They thought that Jesus was going to take them out of being persecuted from the Romans. They didn't see him as the King of Kings who we believe. They saw him as a natural man who they believed would become the king. No wonder their hopes and dreams were dashed. You know, Jesus listened to them. He didn't just start mouthing off and reveal to them. He listened to their pain, listened to their anguish. As a Christian, when last did you listen to someone else before you start flapping your gums? Stewart, that's for you. Take a note. Quick to talk, not quick to listen. As we look in Mark 4 verse 9, it says, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." It's kind of interesting when you think that God gave us 2 ears and only one mouth. Whew. Consider carefully how you listen. James emphasized, that's in Luke 8 verse 18. James emphasized this saying, "Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak." That's in James verse 1:19. When you're giving someone's attention, is it about your agenda, their agenda, or Christ's agenda? And when do you think about Christ in your conversation with anybody? Before I studied this, never. Unless I was working. Speak or listen. Jesus had opportunity to teach. People followed him all over. But yet we have examples of him, of when he listened. Sight. Jesus healed many people who were blind, loving, ministering to them, and restoring their sight. But what he did more often was that he ministered to us through our own sight. In other words, he always had time to stop and talk to people. He could look into their eyes and listen. In the 3.5 years of ministry on earth, Jesus was always on the go, healing someone, teaching to the crowds, feeding the multitudes. But he was never so busy that he couldn't be interrupted. In fact, one time the Bible records that so many people were coming that Jesus and his disciples didn't have a chance to eat. So Jesus says to his disciples, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." In Mark 4, verse 6, verse 31. They all got into a boat to go away to a solitary place, but the people seeing them leave ran ahead on foot and got to the other side ahead of them. The Bible tells us that in verse 34. Just a note to you, if these guys were such good fishermen and they were on a boat to get to the other side, Jesus wanted his disciples to rest. Otherwise, there's no chance that those guys would have got there before them. Jesus was looking feeling and sensing that his disciples needed to rest. Another great example is when Jesus was in the house teaching, people came from all over to hear him. He's teaching, and these 4 guys came carrying their friend and a map to him. They couldn't then make their way in a crowd because, so in Luke chapter 5 verse 19 it says, they went up on the roof and lowered him on his mat through the tiles into the middle of the crowd. Luke 5 verse 18 to 19. And so Jesus is teaching right in the middle of the message when they drop this mat in front of him. Notice what he does. He stops teaching and recognizing their faith. Says, friends, your sins are forgiven. Luke 5 verse 20. But he wasn't finished. In verse 24 he said, and oh, by the way, get up, take your mats and go home. Immediately he stood up from them, took what he'd been lying on, and went home praising God. Luke 5 verse 24 to 25. Jesus always was open to interruptions. He was open to converse. He was sensitive to the needs of his disciples. He was sensitive to the needs of his followers. Why? He fed them. Now, if you look at feeding them and look at Scripture, when Jesus tells you, I am the bread of life, he's telling you, once you have me, you don't need any other feeding. But I want to raise this question with you. Who here has ever eaten and half an hour later are hungry? Have you ever looked at that in a spiritual context and think, I've been to church, but I still need more of Jesus because I'm hungry for his bread of life? He looked in the eye and gave them time. By the way, if you guys want to do a cool Bible study on the guy who got dropped through with the mat, that's the only time you ever find youth work in the Bible. That's because it was the youth guys who were carrying him or dropped him down on the mat. Pretty cool. So, in your life and in closing, I want you to think about, where are you at with the 5 senses in people in your life? When last did you look to see Jesus' will in a conversation, in a church meeting? When last did you listen to hear God's will through what people are saying to you? When last did you look deeply into someone's eyes and were able to see their pain? When last did you use your 6th sense of knowing something's not right with someone in your family or your closest friend, and then use the 5 senses that God gave you to minister? It's pretty simple, guys. Love the Lord God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. Verse Mark 12, verse 30 to 31. When last have you been so in love with what Jesus has given you to minister that you've actually used your senses to minister? Because we live in a world where everything is getting more hectic. We live in a world where time with God is not our priority. How often do you put your family before God? How often do you put work before God? I work for a church. Now often I put work before God, doing God's work. Going through the motions. I'm not using my senses because I'm not listening to what the person's need is. I'm not giving them the hug, the need, the physical contact. Do you know people come to our church? There are some old people who come to our church, and the only reason they come to our church is because we hold hands at the end and do the benediction, because that's the only time someone touches them in the week. When I heard that, I'm like, God, I've abused my sense of touch because I'm selfish. God, I've abused my sense of sight because I'm looking at what Stewart wants and not what you want for Stewart. God, I haven't been smelling the things you need me to. I've been looking at the bad aroma instead of focusing on your aroma, which is truth, which is love, which is kindness, which is grace. What is grace? And I want you guys to understand this, youth people. Grace is getting something you don't deserve. When last did you give grace to someone in terms of forgiveness that they don't deserve? Just preach it. I I want you guys to go out and use your senses, not as a part of J-Life, as a part of Hillside, but as a part of the greater Christian family. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you, Lord, and we thank you for what you've given us, Lord. We also want to apologize for not using what you've given us for your glory, but for ours, Lord. I pray as a church, I pray as J-Life, that we will go out and use what you've given us for your glory and not for us. I pray Psalm 91 over us as you guys separate ways, that your angels can advise and protect us. In your precious name, amen.